just a brief overview of what the course is about. So let me tangi. So I want to run through the course outline. So you need to understand the distinction between law and policy, and then they do differ. Law is strictly from the constitution, and ethics, we also need to understand it. And law has got an element of ethics, because law can also be communal law. So that you have in your notes, and that I believe by now we do know also, not only by the government, by the traditional authority also. And then we have policies, which are guidelines. The laws are more like rules that, if you don't obey, you break the law, you get a penalty for that. But, if you break, as a guideline, a policy, you don't, not always that you get a penalty. Someone may talk to you, so that you do the right thing, you know and even if you don't do the right thing. So that's why every policy has got an instrument that we call a monitoring and evaluation, to monitor how, the how the implementation of a policy is going on. So yeah, and policies are guidelines, and laws are rules, and how they are made, mainly in parliament, but a court can also, make a law, and sometimes it's a motion, that is stable in parliament because of a happening in a society, yeah, like that. But a policy can be suggested, by any person, maybe within the government or private sector. They come up with an idea, they see a loophole, because policies are mainly to close gaps. So that's basically, we need to understand and to be able to make a comparison in different, and you can comprehend that with your notes also, and your extensive reading. And as you know, at a master level, so you are supposed to do your own extensive reading. So the comparison is important. Normally in the examination, that is important to know that, and to know how you make a law and how you make a policy. And then, the employees' rights within the Namibian constitutions, mainly in education sector, be it maybe at school or within the Ministry of Education. And then the role of a trade union and politicians, in industries, in formulating a law and also a policy. Trade unionists, they can also suggest, a motion. They can suggest a bill that can be tabled in parliament. Then it goes to the committee that deals with the... Oh, okay. Okay. Well, I hear you. You can't hear me very well. All right. What I'm saying is, a law can be suggested by a trade unionist. It can also be suggested by, a member of parliament, parliamentarian, and then also by, maybe people within the industries. But if it's a trade unionist, somebody from the trade union or industries, they send it back, they send it to the parliament, so that the motion can be tabled. When people, and those people in parliament, they table the motions, and then they debate about it, and then they send it to the committee. They may send it to her, to the it can also be debated by, other lawmakers, the judiciary, and then it can come back to the parliament, and then sometimes the public member of public also, they contribute and things like that. So and likewise, a policy too, and maybe a policy too can come from all these three parties and beyond. It can come from maybe a teacher in a school, a policy, because she has identified a gap, send it to the leader, the leadership send it, sit on it, they camp on it, discuss it, and they may send it to the executive. They may send it also even to parliament, to people in the parliament, to discuss it, and so that the issue can be exhausted. And it can also go to traditional authorities, so that they better understand, so that everyone is involved. Just a second. So because you need the views of almost everyone. So yeah, so that you get the views of everyone. That is on policy now. For example, if the policy is on inclusive education, you need to do an outreach, to the chiefs, to find out, for you to let them know what is inclusive education, how does it matter, so that they can also advocate it to people in their community in case they have a contribution to make to the policy, so then they can make a policy. For example, sometimes we have policies that are addressing issues, for example, of housing, maybe for the some Namibians who don't have maybe a stable living condition, not a stable living, or a stable house, or a stable accommodation, I should say. And these are nomads. They change place according to them, the food they can find and the food their animal can find. So you don't design this policy top down. You don't design this policy top down, because if you design it top down, you don't understand their needs. That's why we had some toilets which were built for this group of people, but now they are left dormant. So you see, that's why we involve a policy is closing the gaps, but a law is coming from experts, but it also involves people in different sectors. Is there any question so far? Okay, I continue.
No questions from my side.
Okay, all right. And then the gender issue. There's a comprehensive presentation, on gender issue that we have. We still have child marriage, not only in Kunene region. We have it in Ochozunjupa. We have it in other regions also. We have it in other regions. Just some kilometers away from Okahanja, we still have, some child marriage being done. So these are some gender issues in education, that we have. And then that you can orient yourself about it. And then the formulation. Tangi, can you just mute yourself? Okay.
Can you mute yourself, please?
All right. Yeah, she muted. All right. And then the formulation, which I spoke about it, and the role of the constitution, in Namibia, is to ensure that people do the right thing and the rights of the people are respected and all those kind of things. So make sure that you read about it. And students, you don't always rely on lecture notes, those PowerPoints. So you make sure that you also, have your own extensive reading so that you are better prepared, for this. And then what else? And then the role player in formulating of law and policy, and that one we spoke about it. And then we have the issue of ethics. We have so many challenges when it comes to ethics. We have, embezzlement of the government's money or the school money, taking place, misuse of funds. We have teachers sleeping with learners. We have, likewise adults, any other adult in the community sleeping with learners, and we are so irresponsible. We are stealing from ourselves. Sorry? Yeah, we are stealing from ourselves and we are sleeping with our kids. We are so irresponsible. We are stealing from ourselves. We are misusing funds. Today you are possibly teaching at a school, but later on you may find yourself, at the Ministry of Education, or you are an ED, or whatever positions you have, and we don't really address our needs. We are so unethical in many ways because our children are not schooling in those areas where they in those areas where there is no electricity, there are no chairs, there are no proper, classrooms. So it is well with us. But the purpose of life is to serve. The purpose of life is to serve, and you better do it well. The reason why we are here. As I'm sitting here, I'm serving you. As you are sitting there equally, you do serve somebody. So do it well. Yes. Yeah. Because they also say one of the greatest tragedy in life is it's a life without a purpose. So we need to be ethical within our calling, and we need to be purposeful. We need to find our purpose on earth, and we need to be purposeful intentional on the journey. So we have a lot of things. Just imagine you are a teacher, assign this little girl to teach, to guide, to make her a responsible citizen, but you are sleeping with, you are getting naked with this school kid. We are so irresponsible. That's why Trump mentioned it when he was a US president that, you African, you talk too much on internet, but all you know is how to produce babies. How to produce babies. That's just all that we know. Okay. So we cannot even, he said we cannot even produce a matchstick. So, and then we can talk about ethical consideration in leadership. When you are a leader, you are a leader of maybe, if you have a group of people that you are taking care of, you are a leader. You are also a leader of your own life. So your ethical responsibility when you are dealing with any other thing, why are you serving the people you are entitled to serve? Are you serving them fairly? Are you applying justice? So, Are you doing what you are requested to do at the time that you are requested to do it? Are you putting in the effort that you're supposed to put in? So, this is being ethical. If we are not building Africa, Africa will remain like this. Without testing development, it will go on like this. And then, pluralism, that is just uniformity for us, to be there. It's actually how we live, we coexist with diversity. When you're talking about diversity now, for us to be, us, we are a pluralistic nation. So for us to coexist better, consider other people's personalities, consider other people, consider other people's culture, languages, tribes, their accents. It's not funny when I have my mother tongue influencing my accent. Yeah, it's not funny when I cannot, articulate and formulate, my, a proper English, sentence. I have a mother tongue that I can speak well. For example, we have Chinese here who are doing so many things for us, but they cannot speak English. So we laugh at each other. We are busy, looking down at each other because of how we articulate, ourselves in this foreign language, but it's not our language. And not to say that we shouldn't study it, we shouldn't try to perfect it, but we don't have to look down at somebody because a person cannot speak the language. All right, and diversity goes down to not only tribes, but it goes to races, it goes to learning abilities, different types of, of learning, how I learn. Some learners, they can pronounce certain letters, some they cannot. And we need, to be inclusive in our approach, the way we approach them, our teaching approach, our leadership approach, to make sure that they are inclusive of everybody. So we have to be inclusive of culture. We are from different cultures and everybody should feel included. Everybody should feel included. Everybody is important. Everybody can contribute to the development of this country. So that's why everybody should feel included so that they give their best. Yeah. But if we have a society where we feel this particular tribe or group of people, it's more good in irresponsible behavior, they know how to manage money. Every group of people have got certain people who don't know how to manage money. They've got certain people who are arrogant. We have every group of people. It's not a tribal thing. For example, one day my students were asking me which tribe is more tribalist in Namibia. I told them, look, tribalism is not a tribal thing. Tribalism is an attitude thing. It's an individual thing. See? It's an individual thing, how you behave. So that basically that's pluralism and justice, that just to be fair. And those the discourse ethics, to consider one another, to make sure that we are fair. They have got different philosophers, talking about this concepts of ethics and morals and stuff. So, and developing your personal ethics, you as an individual. It is very important to develop your personal ethics. And you develop your personal ethics when you have got a vision. That's why it's always you as a leader. Not, a vision board you don't only have in your personal life, but you also have it, just in your professional life. This month, what do I want to achieve? You break it down from the beginning of the month. I want to achieve this, I want to achieve this, I want to achieve this, I want to achieve this. And then the next month, what do you want to achieve? I want to achieve but this particular thing, I want to achieve this particular thing, and these things like that. So that is what we do, and that's how we we improve our personal ethics. Because if you don't have a vision for your work or for your responsibility for your life, then you see you behave anyhow. Anything that, just like when you don't have a budget. When you don't have a budget, you are not guided by a budget. You go to the shop, you find something on sale, you buy it, but it's not in your budget. It's not that you need it. You just bought it because you found it on sale. So it is the same thing. We have to draw visions to guide our professions. So that we are guided, by certain ethics. So, for example, you just on your vision board, I have to treat everybody fairly. Yes? Somebody raised their hand. What did I see there? Okay, all right. Okay, yeah, clapping hands. All right. Have your vision written down, and then it will guide you. And I will treat people fairly. I will come to my work on time. I have to make sure that I knock off on time. What are the loopholes that you see at your workplace? You have to step into these loopholes to close the gap this way. You have to try little by little, That's how it is. So it is. That's how it is. So for you to develop your personal ethics. And you look, just your culture, there are certain values. The cultures where you are working, of the people you are working in, you are working with, so they have got some values. You have to pull out some values there, so to honor them, to shape your approaches and your practices. Because sometimes you are working in a community that's not your where you're from, that's not your own. You may not know their values and things like that. So then your goal in order to improve your personal ethics is to mingle with people, to learn their practices, to make sure that you are inclusive in your leadership. So those are some of the things. And then for example, grounding for the metaphysics of morals, Immanuel Kant. You need to know how you can define it, and then you should be able to understand the implication of this theory in education. Because when you are studying a theory, so dare to find out what is the implication of the theory. You can go to any artificial intelligence, Copilot, whatever, there are so many. So, and just type in what is the implication of Immanuel Kant, metaphysics of moral, and then it will be able to give you some answers. That's what you do. Because your course outline, it doesn't have an implication, but you study a theory, and at this stage you need to know how to apply and the theory in your profession or in your area of specialization. So, and then we have discourse ethics. So it is the same thing by Jürgen Habermas. So how we shift from an individual perspective, communal perspective. You need to know about that. It's just a brief, definition of discourse ethics. But how do you apply it in education now? Different aspects, different situations. Those are the things that we want they may ask in the examination for you to bring out. Not only you know how to define, when he's talking about, discourse ethics is this, and this. So, but the implication of the theory in education. And then, the justification and application, that is actually what you should be able to, when you're able to justify it, you're able to, to debate about it. and about applying it is we're able to discuss about it, how it can be, apply in education, and ethical decision making as an educational leader. So, if you recognize that your purpose is to serve, that's why you are here. And that's why I'm here. The reason why I'm sitting here, I'm still at work, or even if I was at home, creating this space is to serve you. And you in your profession, you serve those people that you work with. If you are teaching, you are serving those learners. Okay? So make sure that you are ethical in your decision making. You don't only, make decision to favor certain people. And we are so addicted to this. We are so addicted. We have favorites. It is normal to have favorites, but be careful how you deal with those favorites. Make sure that you are fair, because your future nurse is good. It might not be your favorite. It might be the one that I don't want to say you didn't like, but you less appreciate. So now this is going to be your nurse. And then what will you do? You are sick in your sick bed. And this learner is now your nurse. And she remembered very well how you were treating them. She remembered very well how you were treating them. And here you are unable, but then now it's the person.
I think doctor's line is cutting a little bit.
Okay. Now I was also admitting someone now, but is there no clear flow of what I'm saying? Atangi?
Doctor, it's not your line, it's perhaps a network. You are perfectly fine.
Yeah, because I think she's driving. Because or you are moving. Because anytime you unmute yourself, your sound comes as if somebody was, who is driving. Thank you so much for confirming
Yeah,
that.
I was driving, but now I've parked somewhere. I'm just, because I just realized I won't get home on.
Okay. So, is there any other person who is having problem with?
I'm just quietly parked somewhere.
Okay. Is there any, apart from Tangi, is there any other person who is having difficulty following what I'm saying?
No, I think it's Tangi's network.
Okay, then that way we have nothing, nothing much to do. And actually, these theories of Habermas, what Immanuel Kant, they shouldn't confuse you. You can even know the definition. Once you know the definition, you should be able to, or what it is about, not the definition, but what it is about, and then you can be able to infer. You should be able to infer. There are so many situations of fairness, of morals and immorals in our own society. Unethical behavior. For example, when you are mistreating somebody, you for example, what example can I pick, from our schools? A certain learner may come late and you let them in, and this other one, you let them in but with a certain face or certain words. Or when this one didn't wear a full school uniform, you have an attitude towards them, but the other one, you just accommodate one because it's a clean one, or maybe a smart one, or a polite one, things like that. I know all these things, they do matter and they can influence you, but you now as a teacher, you play it in a matured manner, and also in an informed manner, a conscious, because your mind is now enlightened about ethics and about justice and about coexistence. and this boils down, it culminates down to our own old philosophy of Ubuntu. I am because you are because I am. I am because you are, you are because I am. So you see, I am a lecturer because you are students. So I better treat you nice. I need you. I cannot just be harsh on you. But where you need me to be harsh, I will be harsh. Because academics is not only about passing those grades, about also you being disciplined. For example, if I'm treating certain students, they are not getting a second opportunity to make up for their C's, I should do that to everyone. You are all my students, and as for me, I should treat you equally. You all do matter to me. You do. Yeah. And the examples that I'm setting, it might also influence your practices. And this is about, the whole thing, it's about law, and then we come to policies, and then it comes to ethics. It's about getting it right, the system. When you become a leader tomorrow, it's not about celebrating. It's about drawing your vision board. How will I serve in a fair manner, diligently? So that when your tenure is over, when maybe you are 60 now, yourself, you look back and you say, I did it. You have no regret in how you have run your race. And you remember that the cosmos will respond and come back, will respond to your work sooner or later. And that's what sometimes people call karma. What you sow one day, you will reap. Yeah. So you may have so much support. For example, when you treat your learners well, later they become lawyers, they represent you, or they become medical doctor, they handle you very well when you're not feeling well. But obviously, if you were that unfair, I'm not saying you should be soft. Learners, they do understand. Even students, they do understand. When you refuse to give them a makeup test because you have given them equal chance, everyone got one opportunity for one CA. You gave them all the opportunity for those ones maybe who had medical conditions, you have given them a second opportunity because they couldn't, participate in those engagement. So they understand these things. They understand how fair you are, but I'm not saying to be soft, to be used and all those kind of things. Okay. And then the social contract ethics by Jean-Jacques. We start as pure, you should understand this concept. We start as pure being, and then we are influenced by society, and then we should still, serve well, we should still be fair and things like that. And then you just do your own research. What is the implication of social contract ethics in education today, or to the Namibian education? And then you'll be able to, in case you may not be able to infer, you are able to advance your understanding. That's how you prepare for the examination as a master student. They may ask you just discuss the theories of social contract ethics and its implications in education. So sometimes that's how the question comes. So now you say, she did not teach us about the implication of this. No. You are just introduced to a theory, what it is, who coined it, and you put in its effect in the Namibian education system. And sometimes the difficulty, students have. But this time I didn't part time. I think I'm a student. I think. Did I give you any assignment on? Did I give you any assignment on the difference between a policy and a declaration?
Declaration, no.
I think it was just between a policy and a law, doctor.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, maybe I didn't. I forgot to bring that in, because I always like it, for students to be exposed to a policy so that they know how a policy differ from a declaration. So it is very important, for example, when you just get a policy like this, so you can see this one by the structure, you can see that it has a vision, it has a mission. And the declaration may just start with that this declaration is also of whatever year, and then it is about what, so because there was a time I gave an assignment to the postgraduate to discuss, I think, a policy. I don't know, I forgot now. It was some 2 years back, and only one group of students, got the assignment right, because the students they cannot identify a policy from a declaration, and sometimes from a law. They can't. Laws, we find them within our constitution. No, basically, the slides I'll go through. Somebody asked about the slides. I'm on a what? I'm on the course outline now. The slide we will talk about them later. Okay. So the course outline, because I have started with this, because the notes I have provided you with, and then sometimes the students' network, it cuts, or maybe their data got finished. So I just want to start with the main thing that I know you are interested in. So I hope I have answered your question. And then the theories of justice, of fairness. That's why we have got so many theories of morals, fairness, ethics, and what. So that, yes, Kapapero?
Sorry, Doc.
Mm-hmm.
I think I did not get you well the difference between a policy and the declaration.
Okay, a policy, it has its proper cover page. For example, we can take a sector policy on inclusive education. And when you ask a policy, please, you should be able to know. Maybe I should, but you should know even you should just type policy within the Ministry of Education, they may come. You should know the correct name of the policy. We have a sector policy on inclusive education. We have a national policy on pregnancy, on learners' pregnancy. We have a policy on HIV/AIDS. I think 2 policies. One is how to treat employees and how to accommodate them and things like that. And then we have a policy on languages, ICT policy. But when you are asked this policy, you don't state policies that are designed at school level. So they might not be well polished. So, but in any case, a policy has got its proper cover page that has got a country logo, and then it's written a national policy, national sector policy on inclusive education, for example. And then it has its own table of content of what is really there. And then it comes with its own vision and mission. And then it comes, with, it may start with a forward, a preamble, and then it can start with its objectives. And then within a policy, then it can talk about what it is all about. And then you will see that at the end, they have an instrument on how, or a discussion that it will be monitored, or maybe how they are going to monitor it. So, but a declaration may just start with it's a declaration. It may also have a logo of it's a declaration of what for from based on which act and things like that. And then it might have maybe some laws on top there that govern the that governs the declaration. And then you see that they start with their bullet points. Not bullets. I think they number those points. So you can download it. You can download an educational declaration for 2004 teacher declaration or something like this. And any policy on education, you can. There's even often a vulnerable policy. You see that they have got the same structure policies, but declarations they do differ. I hope I have answered your question.
Yes, Doc, you did. Thank you.
Okay, all right. So furthermore, you can, just download it on Google and then you expose yourself to different policies that I have also highlighted. The orphan and the vulnerable policy, the sector policy on inclusive education, learners' pregnancy, and the language policy, and then ICT policy. Those are some of the policies that that are approved, that are functioning within Namibian schools. So, and then the theory of justice in by John Rawls. So this just maybe they can still ask you. So discuss or describe the theories of justice as per John Rawls' perception and indicate its implication in Namibian education today. So those are some of the possible questions that you may get from the policy. From this theory. Is there any question? No, I think I have touched almost everything. Yeah. So basically, to sum up for those who just joined, so you should know the distinction between a policy and law and ethics also. So, if someone is joining now.
Doctor?
Yes?
Good evening, doctor. I don't know
Good
if I
evening.
heard you well, but speaking under correction, did doctor mention when it comes to the policies, if we are probably asked to discuss the policies, doctor mentioned that we should not answer the ones developed on school level.
Yes.
Or something in that line.
Yes. You should not state a policy that is developed at a school level, because only that school know about that policy. It is not approved at a national level, and I do not know about it, or anybody who's going to mark your script doesn't know about it. That's why. Yes, Olivia?
Yes, I think in short you want to say the internal policies. Internal policies are policies that are developed at the schools themselves, like internal policy of how kids should behave themselves when they are conducting the assembly or emergency when there's emergency. So a school can come up with those internal policies. In one word, you want saying that those internal policies are not really accepted to be given as an example.
Yeah.
Because it's only the school that knows it and use it, not other schools. Like, let me say, other schools do not have hostels, yet you know.
You might have a policy on conduct in the hostel. Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you, doctor.
Okay, you're welcome. So so you should know the difference between, should be able at least to have around about 5 points to compare between law and policy, with the definition, how they are made, when they are applied, what do they really do, and things like that. You go on like that, and that I have discussed about it. So that's why I compare. And when you are asked to compare, and mainly they will ask you, that question of compare and contrast, because this is for your level. And because now you should give things that are similar, state things that are similar, and state the differences. You see, when you are to compare and contrast about law and policy. And maybe they can ask you to speak, for example, to pick a certain policy or a law. For example, a policy on inclusive education. Criticize the policy on inclusive education. So you see, we have teachers who are not trained. Even lecturers, they are not ready to teach teachers on, for example, how to teach maybe someone with Down syndrome, autistic. So the teachers are also on their own to do research on YouTube and whatever to find ways on how to teach these kids. But they are in the system, and we have a policy, on inclusive education. We are talking about the implementation of this policy. But do we have experts yet? The country doesn't have experts. Did we modify schools? We still have school with stairs. We need the ramps where a learner on a wheelchair can easily move. But we not all schools have those facilities. Do we have translators? Not translator, but interpreter. No, we don't have interpreters. So far, only Cosmos in Namibia has got an interpreter. I think 3 interpreters. And these interpreters, they are only trained in interpretation, not in subject content. We have, there are so many issues. We have subjects such as, economics, where it has a concept of supply and demand. Can they interpret that? You see? And we have concepts in biology, for example, osmosis and diffusion. And simultaneous in mathematics. Those interpreters, they are not, trained at that level. That's why I always tell my students, like, sometimes when you finish my undergraduate students, when you finish your degree, the question will guide you on what to compare and contrast. So if it's general, you can pick any. If it's specific, but preferably in education, because this is your focus. Right, there's just a question there. I was addressing the question. So we have so many loopholes. We are talking about inclusive, but do we have enough schools in the country? We don't. For a learner to choose a school that is 1 kilometer away from them, we don't. And do we have resources, teaching aids? We don't have. We're talking about inclusive, but does the government, accommodate every other learner and make sure that we don't have street kids and they're all in school? We don't do that. So there are many challenges, and we have a policy on orphan and vulnerable children. How do you, measure or determine that somebody is vulnerable? So the person might be coming from a well-off house, but the person is vulnerable. How do you ensure that you are providing quality education? So that is unknown. Oh my God, students are joining so late. So they may ask you to do that. So they may ask you to talk about the strength and the weaknesses of a specific policy. For example, teenage pregnancy, it allows the retention for them to reduce the vicious cycles of poverty. Learners, to get to be, write their examination, and, they get, to give birth while it's still in school, and, get a little time to nurse a baby and can return to school, it depends really on how you should just look at the reality we are sitting with today to be able to talk about the weaknesses and strengths. And sometimes, just analyze maybe a policy on HIV/AIDS in Namibian schools. Discuss its strengths and weaknesses. Sometimes it's like that. And sometimes, yes, Tangi.
Now, Doctor, I have a question. Will we be asked to talk about a certain policy or like let me say, for example, will the question come like what are the strengths or what are the weaknesses of or maybe policy on, let me say, for example, inclusive education?
Yes.
Or will you just be asked in general or state any policy and with its strengths and weaknesses?
Sometimes,
Because
that will.
Because maybe that will require me to like now to read all the policies in education to familiarize myself with.
Yeah, because the subject is.
And the question might come and say, I'll talk about maybe the policy of inclusive education, and I've never come across that policy. So I'm asking, should I now like familiarize myself with all the policies that may be related to education or?
Yes, actually, what leadership in education. So you are expected to know the policy in education. So they may pick a policy on inclusive education, but you see that it's not part of the course outline. There's no maybe discuss policies in Namibia or in Namibian education system. No. That's why I tell you, as a master student, as a postgraduate student, you do extensive reading. I think I wrote it somewhere there on LMS. I don't know if it was last semester or this semester. You need to do your extensive reading on your own, whereby you will really expose yourself to different aspects within law and policy and other courses that you are also doing. So that's how it is, because they can ask you to discuss any policy. It's just like, for example, the implication of these theories in education, they are not there.
Doctor.
Yeah, they are not there. And those policies, they are not many. I think they are not, it's, for example, inclusive education. It's just how you provide quality education to everyone. It's something that we must have heard of maybe over the television and things like that, And at this level, you should expect, a general question on the basis of a sub or maybe a concept in your course outline. But I shouldn't make it sound like maybe the course is tough. It's not tough. Students have been doing very well in this course. And if they're talking about a pregnancy policy, by now we must know, that there's our learners are going to school when they are pregnant, but it was not the case in the past. If you want, you can still go to school when you are pregnant. And we know that the government is providing school fees and sometimes school uniform, and sometimes stipends to these kids that are vulnerable. So, and they cater for the orphan and vulnerable kids. So you should expect that. And sometimes they may just, for example, talk about pick Nantu, but you only discuss about the role of what is a trade union. And because of politics, you cannot mention one. They can maybe, bring a notion of one politician from a certain political party, and you have to maybe discuss on that. How discuss a share of views on the notion. It can be 5 marks or 10 marks and things like that. So that's why you need to be abreast with what is happening in the country, read the newspaper, watch news, to advance your own, one can pick a scenario from the news, for example, or from the newspaper, and set questions also on that, as long as it's related to one of the concepts, or it's centered around the concept in your course outline. So, but I'm not saying that might be one question, it might not be two even. So, and then you need to know your rights as an employee, and the gender challenges we have. We still have kids that are sent to the farm to stay with, to look after the animals. Still girls, early marriages. Some are just staying at home and wait for marriage, or they have given birth, they are falling pregnant, and then they stay at home. And then the concepts now, how to generate your own ethics as a leader, and the role of the Constitution, and how a policy and the law is made, and the role players in the law and Constitution. And I have given you those things in the notes. Quite a brief, it's not too long, and those theories, you need to be able to understand what they are all about and their implications in education. So it doesn't matter if you are from the background of education, but our focus is law and policy in education, and ethics in education. So we need to be clear on that a theory that we will ask its implication in education, because that's what our course is about. Okay, so are you a little bit comfortable with the upcoming, with facing the exam? Do you feel you are a little bit prepared? Maybe no. Yes, Sammy?
Yes, doctor.
Okay, good.
Not that much, but what I want to inquire is what does doctor really expect of students, like in terms of responding to the questions on this specific module?
Okay.
Like, because sometimes you find different people have different way on how they expect students to respond, or how do you want us to answer the questions?
All right. Good question. Thank you. So basically, I would only answer that, and because we do mark scripts according to the memo, how we design the memo. Because I might not be the one who mark you or grade you, so I might be the one, likely to be the one. So I always mark, master student. But in case, anything can happen, and then you see, I may not mark. But marking is done according to the grading, the memorandum. So how do we design? For example, if a question is out of 10, you are expected to have 5 points in the explanation. 1 mark for the point, 1 mark for the explanation. If there are 5, that makes it 10. So if there are 20 marks, you are expected to have around about 8 to 10 points. And it depends on how, if you explain them in details, so even 6 points or 7 points, they may be enough to get you 10 marks. So, but you are expected to have 10 points now and their brief description, if it's about it, or if you are giving maybe 6 points, their description and their examples. So you see, you have to it depends on the number of marks that the question carries. And then I personally just follow, the memorandum, and that's how we just design. We have a common memorandum for all, the levels of qualifications. So that's, and we normally provide our memorandum with ticks already, and that's how we do it. So it is uniform for the university. So I what do I prefer? I am quite accommodative, because some students may give you something brief, but it's correct, and the description is just brief, and it's correct, and I just give them marks. But I don't give a mark for something that is wrong. That I don't do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, because Dr. Jisu, when you mentioned that you find some students, they will give their answers in like maybe bulletin forms, and some will prefer maybe summary form like in paragraphs.
Okay. All right. Good point also there. So normally I would advise, students to give their answers in bullet forms, because when you give your answers in paragraphs, sometimes they don't really explain themselves well, and sometimes you see that they could say more, and maybe they thought they have said something they didn't. They don't really, many times when they explain themselves in a paragraph form, in a narrative kind of form, they narrate the answer. They don't really get, to be careful if they have included everything. But normally also students will do that. It's when they feel that they don't have a good understanding on something. Let me just put something, together, and hoping that, we do go through the content. We do read through the content. We have so many students, especially undergraduates, but we have to go through the content. But normally it's impressive. Always students who put their work in bullet forms, they do better than those ones who, I'm not saying those ones who do in a narrative form, they don't do better. But it's just many times you see that they don't put all the points in. Okay?
Okay, thank you so much, Doctor, for that.
Okay, all right. Yeah, and maybe then the question is just out of 4 or out of 2 and out of 5, because sometimes you may be asked to define terms. For example, what is law? What is policy? What is ethics? And what is justice? What is pluralism? What is discourse ethics? Or maybe what is leadership? Or what is what else is there? Yeah, those things. They may ask you, those concepts for you just to define them. If it carries 2 marks, maybe a definition is okay, you get 2 marks with that. But if it carries 5 marks, then you define and you give examples also. You give examples. Yeah. So,
yes, correct.
So what else do I talk about? Because there will be those questions also. Because an exam, it should be inclusive also, looking at their abilities. So there should be those short answers, questions. Is there anything else that you want, or what you want me to explain according to the structure of the examination? Okay, maybe not. So, and then I would want to know, is there any specific topic that you want me to discuss on? All right, so you're fine. So I think we end here for now, and I'm going to record. I'm going to put this up on LMS. I have recorded it actually with my phone, not so clear, but my voice, it is, I believe it's clear because it's very close to me. For those students maybe who missed it, or maybe when you are preparing, you want to remind yourself of what I've said. I'll upload it, and I'll also put up a recording of some of the things maybe I feel I should touch on, on PowerPoint, and I'll record those PowerPoints and I'll put it up. Yes, Claudia? Yes, Claudia? Kapapero? Okay, maybe that was a mistake. Okay, Gebhardt?
No,
Yes, Doctor. Just on the issue of the notes there, I think maybe I'll make time maybe over the weekend with the course outline and see what exactly we have on the on the LMS and what is missing. Then I'll feedback on you, because I think the last time I checked, it seems like there are some units that does not have notes also. I'll
Okay.
double check, and then
Yeah.
I'll just confirm with you on that, then so we can provide those marks. I mean those CAI.
Okay, so I'll appreciate
Those
that.
notes which are
I'll appreciate that. Thank you.
okay, Doctor.
Okay, Kapapero?
oh, sorry, Doc. I just have a question on CA3. I think it was on contemporary issues, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm just going through the course outline. I'm not seeing that. I don't know, does it fall to where you were saying you need to be align yourself with current issues? Or where does it fall?
The course outline.
No, the specifically the one for CA3.
No, I forgot now.
Issues.
Yeah, I think those, mostly the quizzes, you will see somehow some of the questions were a bit general, but I don't quite get your question.
No, I'm saying I'm going through the course outline,
Okay.
like you were presenting, right? But now I'm still going back to CA3. It was not a quiz, it was an assignment.
Okay.
Like it was on contemporary issues.
Oh
if I'm
yeah,
not
yeah,
mistaken.
yeah. I remember that one.
Yes.
Yes, I
You remember,
purposely,
right?
yes, I purposely designed it that
Yes.
way for students to be aware that, sometimes you are not asked the content, those things. You are asked to infer, those contemporary issues, to see that, you need to be a diverse.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. I get it now.
All right. Good.
Thank you.
Is there any input, any question? Okay, so if there's no any other question or any other input, I really wish you all the very best for your examination. And this exam, this course is not tough. These are issues that are right, in front of us, and with us, within our community, with our people. And once you go through, the slides, I'm sure you will get a good grade. And we are not so stingy with marks. I was a bit tight with assignments, just asked to raise your bar, but we are with you in this journey, and I wish you all the very best, and I'm sure all of you, if you go through the notes, you will make it. All right.
Doctor, just before you go, maybe if you can just give a little clarity there on how the CA and the exam marks add up to make up the final pass for the course.
Okay. All right. What happened is you have your 6 years, and the system supposed to divide it by 6, and then you get your qualifying mark. So it doesn't matter if you qualify with 90. So in the examination you should get 40. So if you get, for example, 36, that's why they write sub-minimum not obtained. Students get to be more relaxed when they qualify with 90 or 80. and 70s. No, you still need to work hard to at least get a 40 out of the examination. If you qualify with 60, you need a 40 from the examination. If you qualify with a 52 or 50 on the dot, you need at least 60 from the examination for you to pass the course.
Okay, so it's basically the CA final marks plus what you obtain to get to 100.
Yes, exactly that. Anything else? Yeah. Masilimwe? Yes.
Yes, I wanted to find out the structure of the question paper. I don't know if I'm preempting it now. How many questions
Okay.
does the question paper have? And then I'm looking at the course outline. Is the outcome of the learning. And my course outline just has 1 and 1 point up to 1.6, right? That's why it ends. I don't know if
okay, I think you just need to.
Nicely.
Yeah, you just need
but,
to download.
I'm looking at the outcomes of learning here.
Yeah.
Should I concentrate at these ones as well?
No, that is just to tell you that you should be able, for example, the other one, the 5th one, they say demonstrate good ethical conduct. That is actually what you should get at the end of this course. Once you study this course, the transformation within you, that's what it is talking about. The outcomes of learning.
Okay.
So demonstrate, for example, the last one, demonstrate awareness. Yeah, you should be able to infer, you should be able to put whatever you learn in practice. So some of these, for example, explain, demonstrate, some of these apply, you be able to do them. But then things such as, demonstrate good ethical conduct, that is in your behavior, that is in your predisposition, in your attitude, and it's observing your behavior. So you concentrate for the examination, you concentrate on the course outlines, the topic and the topic that you have. But since you are saying you only have 6 topics, there are more than that. You just download the course outline from LMS. So I have uploaded it. If it's not there, you can request. I can still send it on WhatsApp. But it's there on LMS. And the structure of the question, there are 6 questions, and you choose 5 questions. Each question carries 20 marks. Sometimes you find that each question has got two questions, maybe one out of 10, and the other one out of 10. And you see that the one question it has 20 marks. It's a narrative question. And then sometimes you may have those only one question will have will be short answers, maybe out of 2 or 5, things like that. But there will be a total of 6 questions where you choose 5 that will total up to 100. Is that clear?
Okay, yeah, it's clear. The last input for me, is it a good strategy that I look through the 6 CAs?
Is it a good?
The and everything. When I'm studying, then I go through all these the assessments that you gave us, all of them.
Don't focus on the assessment. Yeah, focus on your course outline.
Okay. Nah, crystal clear.
Okay. All right.
All right.
Any other question? All right. So I wish you the very best, and I wish you the very best, and I'm sure you can make it.
Thank you, Doc.
Okay. Blessed evening.
Thank you, Doctor.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, bye.